What is going on, world? And today you're tuning in with Kay. And in this video we will be making this copper license plate frame. It's a really fun project to do with friends and family, or if you're starting off on plumbing and you want to start messing with copper more. This license plate may cost you around $9. It depends where you get your material from, but it's simple build and you can use your imagination to a lot of it. It doesn't have to be the same. I started off by cleaning the table for our work, and since it was so messy I had to paint it. But after painting it, I thought it looked so good that I moved to another station. So here we go. I got some cutters. You're gonna need some cutters to start off this build. Otherwise, if you don't have some, then you can do it with a hacksaw. You can use any type of cutter. This one will probably be mine for the build because it's so easy to use. And moving on to the torches, you can use any torch you have around, although I'll be using the manual one where you use a striker, and some of them got a striker built in them, but the reason I used it is because the flame is focused in one spot. This one, it spreads out a little bit, but it still works. For the fluxes, we have C flux that you can use, and they claim that you don't have to sand it, but we will be using this for the most part. You're going to use a flux brush so you can do that, and the sandpaper, plus a brush so you can do the inside of the fittings. For the solder, you can use 50-50 because it's may contain lead, although it won't harm anything, and it won't be used in potable water, not like 97.3. Start off by getting a license plate. It would help a lot for measurements and seeing what you kind of want to see when you're freestyling the build. In this one, I'm going to use 2 T's to hold the screws of the bolt that mounts to the plate. Taking measurements, and I made a little template for me and writing every side. We got those measurements. I'm going to use this cutter because it's convenient to use, and it has 2 settings for 3/4 pipe and 1/2-inch pipe. It's as easy as spinning it, and it has a spring in there that tensions the roller and it cuts it easy. Dry fitting and seeing how everything goes together would help you. Scratch it off the list. Now those are handy as well, don't get me wrong, although I was just feeling using other ones. Here's a little example of using any other cutter that looks like that. You simply tension the dial on the bottom and it tightens the blade or the roller cutting wheel, and you can spin either the cutter or the pipe. It's coming along. We're missing a piece. Make sure when you do it, slam it against something flat so it all evens out and you don't have that weird angles of it and it's like warping and whatnot. Disassembling the parts so we can sand them and prepare them. Sanding the pipe and the fittings is kind of critical because it gives the solder and flux a new surface to bond to, a cleaner surface. And technically you're not supposed to touch it after you sand it, because the oils in your hand will kind of break the seal, or there'll be an oil gap that nothing will bond to. But this is a license plate cover. We're kind of gonna skip some parts, although this is helpful for if you're doing real technical adapter fitting on copper or sweating copper valves or whatnot. This is flux that we're putting on. And you don't need much because you will kind of hurt it, but too little is not good and too much is not good as well. You gotta find that little mini happy spot. And as I said earlier, if you don't make sure that you slam the plate on something flat, it would look kind of weird, like how it was. Wipe all the flux off so you can get a nice joint and you wouldn't have to sand later. Make sure you have a fire extinguisher or something to spray down if something were to go wrong. That's step number one. But getting to it, if you aim your heat at the bottom of the fitting and hit it on the top, it will get attracted to the heat. So that's what's happening in there. This is the T where we will drill a hole and we can mount the plate up to the vehicle. This joint didn't take as well as I thought it would, although it's working. That one took nice. Make sure your flame is all the way up high, otherwise you'll burn the tip of the torch. It will start glowing if there's not enough heat traveling through it. And that little booger on the bottom, flick it off. You'll save yourself some time. Tip, bend your solder. So what I mean by that is doing that little 90-degree at the end, and it gives you more control when you're putting it on the pipe as it's hot. And you can bend it to any shape, like a U-turn looking shape or whatever it is to reach your fitting that you're doing. It's not always as easy as it being right there. There's sometimes in a wall or relating this to a plumbing situation, but that's the striker right there where you strike, and there's a little flint in there that grinds on something. And I used a little too much on that one, although it's going good. This is the setup that I had it hooked up on. Now let's get into sanding. I have this little attachment that you can fit on a drill or an impact. It saved me tons of time. Be very careful, that tool is super sharp and you do not want to get it anywhere near to you. You're supposed to be wearing gloves. And eye protection. I got like a vice grip holding the vice grip on a clamp that's holding the vice grip that's tied onto the bench. You have to make something work. Be creative, that's where it's all about, guys. Now, since the brush that I had on was a little aggressive, I used a 400 grit sandpaper and sanded everything off for a little smoother texture. As you can see, the plate is looking shiny, way shinier than before. And in order to keep it shining, we're gonna spray it, but that's in a second. Because there was some solder on the fittings, I wanted to sand them down so the plate looked clean. Now we're marking few holes for the bolts that will go and attach to the vehicle. The bolt holes. A little pilot hole. And I'm not drilling at an angle. It really looks like I'm drilling at an angle. It would have helped if I had it clamped down. Remove the burrs on the other side, and there you have it. I sprayed it with crystal clear coat to make it long last. I gave it a few extra coats, and this is the final product. Guys, I really appreciate you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Have fun making this and use your imagination to a lot of it. There's many ways to do it, and you can put it upside down, you can do whatever. Thank you guys for watching once again, and you have a great day. Peace!